Welcome back to SAP Fi Academy. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of the most important topics in SAP MM Pricing Conditions. Pricing conditions define how the system calculates the price you pay for materials or services in procurement. Whether it's the gross price, discounts, freight, or taxes, conditions drive the final cost of a purchase order. Why is this so critical? Because without the right pricing setup, companies risk overpaying vendors, missing discounts, or failing audits. And for consultants, knowing how pricing conditions work is not optional. It's a core skill that sets you apart in interviews and projects. In this complete guide, we'll explain the basics of pricing, key condition types, configuration of pricing procedures, how pricing works in purchase orders, and the role it plays in invoice verification. We'll also cover common issues and advanced tips that can make you stand out as an SAP MM expert. And don't forget, in the description, you'll find my SAP career guide with templates and checklists to accelerate your SAP journey. Now let's begin with the fundamentals, the basics of pricing in SAP MM. Part 1. Basics of pricing in SAP MM. Pricing in SAP MM is built on something called the condition technique. This is a structured way SAP determines prices by combining different elements like condition types, access sequences, and pricing procedures. Here's how it works. Condition tables store data like vendor, material, purchasing organization. Access sequence defines the search strategy. For example, the system checks if there's a vendor-specific price, and if not, it looks for a general one. Condition types represent the actual pricing elements, such as PB00 for gross price, RA01 for discounts, or FRB1 for freight. Pricing procedure, the framework that brings all condition types together in a sequence, deciding how the final price is calculated. This technique makes pricing both flexible and powerful. For instance, you can set up vendor-specific prices, volume discounts, or country-specific taxes, all within the same system. Understanding this foundation is key because without knowing how the condition technique works, it's impossible to troubleshoot or configure pricing effectively. Part 2. Key condition. Types and purchasing. In SAP MM, condition types represent the individual components of pricing. Each type has a specific role in calculating the final net price of a purchase order. Let's go through the most important ones. PB00, gross price. This is the base price of the material. Without PB00, the system cannot determine the cost. Discounts, e.g. RA01, K004. These reduce the gross price. Discounts can be percentage-based or fixed amounts depending on vendor agreements. Freight, e.g. FB1. Transportation costs are often added as a separate condition. They can be charged per unit, per delivery, or as a lump sum. Taxes, MWST, NAVS. Tax conditions vary by country. They ensure compliance and proper posting to financial accounts. For example, let's say you purchase 100 units of steel. PB00 equals $100 per unit. RA01 equals 10% discount. FRB1 equals $500 freight. MWST equals 20% tax. The system calculates each condition step by step to arrive at the final price. Knowing these condition types is critical, not only for creating accurate purchase orders, but also for identifying where mismatches happen during invoice verification. Part 3. Pricing procedure. Configuration. To make condition types work together, SAP uses something called the pricing procedure. Think of it as a framework that organizes and sequences all conditions in procurement. Here's how it's set up. Schema group. Assigned to a purchasing organization or vendor, this tells SAP which pricing procedure to use. Pricing procedure. The actual structure that contains condition types in a specific order. For example, PB00 first, then discounts, then freight, then tax. Calculation schema, the technical name for the procedure. It defines how subtotals are calculated, what is mandatory, and whether manual changes are allowed. Assignment. Finally, the pricing procedure is linked to a combination of purchasing organization, vendor schema group, and document type. Example: a purchasing organization in Germany may use a different pricing procedure than one in the US because taxes and freight rules differ. For consultants, knowing how to configure pricing procedures is essential. It's one of the most common topics in SAP MM interviews, and it directly affects PO accuracy and vendor settlements. In short, the pricing procedure is the brain behind condition calculation, making sure everything adds up correctly. Part 4. Price determination in purchase orders. When you create a purchase order in SAP MM, the system doesn't just pull a random number for the price. It follows a structured logic called price determination. Here's how it works. The system first checks if there's a valid info record for the material and vendor. If yes, it uses that price. If not, it looks for a contract or scheduling agreement to pull the price from. If still not found, it falls back on condition records created in the system. Finally, users can enter a price manually if no automatic price is available. SAP also considers scales and validity periods. For example, a vendor may charge $100 per unit up to 500 units, but only $95 if you order more than 500. Automatic price determination saves time and ensures consistency. However, manual conditions can override system pricing when needed, though this should be controlled to prevent errors. For consultants, understanding how prices are pulled into POS is crucial, because this is where most pricing-related errors originate. Part 5. Invoice Verification and Pricing. Pricing doesn't stop at the purchase order stage. It plays a huge role during invoice verification (MIRO) as well. When a vendor invoice is posted, SAP compares the conditions in the invoice against those in the PO and goods receipt. This is the famous three-way match. If there are differences, the system flags or blocks the invoice. Common scenarios include price variance. Vendor charges $105 per unit, but PO shows $100. Freight charges missing. Freight condition, FRB1, wasn't included in the PO but appears in the invoice. Discounts not applied. Vendor forgot to include agreed discounts. Tax differences. Incorrect tax codes cause mismatches with FI postings. How do companies handle this? Define tolerance keys in customizing, allowing small differences, like plus or minus 2%. Block invoices with larger differences until corrected. Train users to reconcile GR/IR and review conditions before invoice posting. For consultants, this is one of the most important integration points, showing how pricing directly impacts FI postings through invoice verification. Part 6. Common issues in pricing. Even with a solid pricing procedure, errors are common in real SAP MM projects. Let's look at the issues you'll see most often. Missing condition records. If the vendor or material doesn't have valid condition records, SAP can't determine the price, leaving the PO incomplete. Wrong schema assignment. If the wrong pricing procedure is linked to the purchasing org or vendor, conditions may not appear at all. Duplicate conditions. Sometimes users add manual conditions in addition to automatic ones, which results in inflated pricing. Expired validity periods. A price record may have expired, so SAP no longer pulls the correct value. Incorrect calculation bases. Discounts applied on wrong subtotals can lead to wrong net price. How do you fix these issues? Regularly maintain condition records in MEK1/MEK2. Double-check schema assignments and customizing. Train users to avoid adding duplicate conditions manually. Run periodic audits of validity dates and price lists. Knowing these issues, and more importantly, how to fix them, is one of the fastest ways to prove your value in SAP MM projects. Part 7. Advanced Tips for Pricing. Once you've mastered the basics, it's time to level up with some advanced pricing tips in SAP MM. These features make pricing smarter and closer to real business needs. Scales. Allow different prices depending on the purchase quantity. For example, $100 per unit for up to 500 pieces, but $95 if you order more than 500. This motivates bulk purchasing and is common in vendor contracts. Validity periods. Condition records can be set for specific dates. For instance, a discount valid only during quarter 4. This ensures SAP automatically applies or removes conditions at the right time. Info records and contracts. Pricing conditions can be stored in purchasing info records or long-term contracts, reducing manual entry and errors. Condition exclusions. SAP allows setting rules so that certain conditions override others. For example, a special discount replacing a general discount. Automatic versus manual conditions. Always prefer automation. Manual conditions should only be used for exceptional cases to avoid inconsistencies. Mastering these advanced options helps consultants design pricing that truly reflects business reality and ensures procurement runs smoothly from PO creation to invoice verification. Outro and best practices. We've now explored the complete world of pricing conditions in SAP MM. From the basics of condition technique to key condition types, pricing procedures, invoice verification, common issues, and advanced tips. Before we wrap up, let's highlight a few best practices. Keep condition records updated. Regularly maintain prices, validity periods, and vendor agreements to avoid surprises. Standardize pricing procedures. Use consistent configuration across purchasing orgs to reduce errors and simplify audits. Monitor invoice verification. Always reconcile conditions during MIRO to catch mismatches early. Train end users. Many pricing errors happen because users don't understand condition fields or overwrite values manually. Leverage reports. Use SAP reports like ME1M, info records, and MEK3, condition records, to review pricing data quickly. Remember, pricing conditions are the heart of procurement. A well-designed pricing setup ensures accuracy, compliance, and efficiency across the entire procure-to-pay cycle. If you want to accelerate your SAP career, don't forget to check the link in the description for my SAP Career Guide. It's packed with templates, interview questions, and step-by-step resources. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, And hit the notification bell to stay updated with weekly SAP tutorials here on SAP IFI Academy.